Hello, since posting our original videos on the Prism map and feedback, a couple of questions have been sent in that we're going to explore and respond to. So question here, how do you maintain a behaviour at work if it's not part of the job? Okay, so let's look at the map. How do you maintain a behaviour at work if it's not part of the job? Right, okay. So I think what that's getting at is this here and this here. So this is the natural behavioural preference, the underlying line, and this is where the person is at work. Now, the problem is, if this person continues to work at this level, so in other words, a much lower level of behavioural preference than naturally they're suited to, then what could happen over time is the underlying line could start to move in because you're not utilising that behaviour, you're not making the most of it. So the neurons aren't communicating as effectively as they need to keep that behaviour fired up. So what you need to do in order to maintain that behaviour is make sure every so often you are working that behaviour the best you can. So in other words, you're dipping into a higher level of behaviour preference. So you need to do that for these particular preferences here. How do you do that? That's to do with perhaps looking for opportunities in the role where you can move into that behaviour. So perhaps some project management work, perhaps a different task that you can do frequently, perhaps having a discussion with the boss, perhaps understanding what you could do outside of work as well that keeps those behaviours to the fore. So what could you do outside of work that makes the most of finishing and innovating? It's a really good question because it does show that if you don't utilize a behavior, it can start to diminish over time. It just becomes stale. It just becomes one of those things that's not natural to use. So a really good question, recognizing that you need to tap into that occasionally to make sure it doesn't just disappear.